welcome back to another Too Fresh exclusive. We're here at Horror Hound Weekend. I have actor Duane West in the building right now, so you can catch him in films like Nothing Good Ever Happens, Amityville, No Escape, Making Out, and Scareways. What's going on, Duane?
How you doing, buddy? Thank
Doing
you
pretty
for
good.
having me today. It's been a pleasure and an honor, and it's something I enjoy doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So-
Absolutely. So tell us, how did you get started in acting?
So I started out in school doing some acting in plays and movies, or plays in school, and to see the reaction of the crowd, I realized this is really fun, and I enjoyed doing what I was doing. At first, I was nervous of the crowd because of the people in the crowd, and the teacher taught me how to just kind of focus on what you're doing and less on the crowd, and that helps you give your best performance, and that kind of helped me out. And then I realized when I got the applauses at the end, realized, hey, this is really cool, and I want to pursue it. And some years later, I enjoy horror films. I was born in 1980, and as you know, in the 80s, we didn't have action or comedy films. It was all horror films. So
Yeah.
I ended up watching a lot of horror films. And a lot of it we had, mom knows now, but mom and dad knows now. So I took our horror cartoon, I took our good cartoons
Yep.
and switched them out with some of the horror films they had, and swapped out the VHS from our cartoons and put them in their horror boxes. Took the horror films, put in our cartoon ones, and then we watched a lot of horror films. And then eventually we got caught,
Oh man.
and so it was a switcheroo. We thought it worked. It did work for a while, and then we ended up getting caught.
Okay.
And they realized, hey, this isn't affecting them. They're not scared, or they're sleeping good, and they're adamant about watching it. It's not causing anything. Just let it go and see how it was. And we ended up watching horror films, and we've been a horror fan since. And me and my twin brother.
Yeah.
And later on in life, we started going to horror movie convention centers.
Okay. Like how we
And-
are here.
Yeah, yeah. And then so when you go so many years, we started going since 2005 twice a year.
Okay.
Sometimes, and then the different ones, and we get to know different actors over the years, and
Okay.
directors, producers. I went up to certain producers and directors, said, hey, I would like to get into horror films. How do I go about doing that? And
Yeah.
they sent me links and stuff, and how to produce it. It was Henrik Kudo, was a well-known Ohio director that sent me links and stuff, and then I was sent emails saying, hey, we're having auditions, and then I went and did movie auditions, and was casted as an extra in a couple films, and then from there I went into an extra, and then a little more since then.
Okay.
And it kind of went through there, so it was kind of like by chance and pure luck and chance I got to do what I did.
Excellent, excellent. And so, off camera, you were telling me about your paranormal experience that you had. So, since we're here at Horror Hound, why don't you share that story with us?
So the experience I had was I lived in an apartment called Colonial Terrace in Piqua, Ohio, in apartment number 34, which was on the third floor.
Okay.
And it was in early 2004. It was a Friday night. I worked third shift. Me and three associates went to a local bar to listen to live music, and it was called the Mug and Jug at the time. Today it's called the Boomerang.
Okay.
And so I went, and I lived in the apartment for a year before anything ever happened. I've never had anything that ever happened since then, or when I moved in. And then when I went to the Mug and Jug at the time. It was a Friday night. I watched some live bands, and there was three of us. That was my friend. It was myself, my friend Therese Courtney, my friend Tony Coverman, and my friend Seth Shoemaker.
Okay.
And we all watched some live bands. And at the time, I was drinking. Since I was driving, I was drinking O'Doul's, which was non-alcoholic beer, and I was watching some live bands. And when they called last call, we left about. It was 2:30, and we said our goodbyes, and I left the parking lot. I got in my car and left, and I went to my apartment, which was across town. It was exactly about 3 miles from that town.
Okay.
And it's about, when I got into my apartment, it was about 3 in the morning. And then I lived in Colonial Terrace off of 1906 Covington Avenue, Piqua, Ohio. And I lived on the 3rd floor, which was the highest floor.
Okay.
And when I opened up the door, I had a pug dog, which was a puppy I got at Petland pet store just a couple months prior. So she was greeting me at the door, and I spoke a little to her to reassure her that was me and everything was fine.
Okay.
And I shut the door, and I worked 3rd shifts at the time, and I had dark blue curtains, and all the blinds were drawn shut.
Oh.
So it was a straight shot back to my bedroom, so I knew where the layout of my apartment, so I walked straight back to my apartment. And as soon as I got to my bedroom, right when I got to the doorway, I saw a bright green ball of light that was the size of, it was smaller than a volleyball, but larger than a softball. And it was a perfect circular color, and it was solid green.
Okay.
And it was solid. I couldn't see through this thing. It was a solid color.
Oh wow.
And and I noticed it was. It didn't happen when I went there. It was already going on. Like right when I went to the bedroom, it was already. I walked into this ball flying around, and sporadically it was flying around, mostly around the center of my bed, and then the wall and the ceiling. I noticed even though it was bright, it was traffic light green. It was a color of a traffic light, green light, and even though it was bright green in color, it you couldn't see through it. And when it was near the wall, the ceiling, the bed, it gave an ambient light of white. So like when you turn on a lamp near a wall and you got see that white glow near a wall, that's about what it looked like when it was near the wall, the bed or ceiling, even though this thing was solid green color. And it was solid. I couldn't see through it, but it looked like it was looking for something or searching for someone, and then you could tell it had some kind of intelligence or some kind of life force to it. And I watched it for 45 seconds, and it just vanished right in front of my eyes. And I noticed my pug dog, and I was at the doorway. I didn't move from the doorway of the bedroom. My pug dog was to the right of me, and her hair was standing up, and she was growling at this thing. And I reached down, and when it disappeared, it blacked out. It blinked out like there was nothing there. I reached down and picked her up and walked backwards halfway, which would have been the middle of the kitchen at the time. And I turned around, walked out, and I unlocked the door because I locked it when I came in. I locked it, and when I pulled the door shut, I make sure it was locked, and I went downstairs, got in my car, which was a 2004 Honda Element at the time, which is sunburnt orange color. And I went about 2 miles across town and stayed at my parents' house and slept on their couch. When Dad woke me up in the morning, he wondered, what are you doing here? Because he knew I had my own place, and I told him the story, and I wouldn't come home until he checked it out. I gave him the keys to the apartment, and I wouldn't go home until he checked everything out, and he checked it out, and there was nothing there. And So what was interesting about the story was I have a friend named Brian Larger, and he's Catholic, and he don't believe in none of that stuff. He came over. Now, I never told anybody this story at all, and so when he came over, he was only there for 15 minutes, and he said, "I got to use your bathroom." I said, "No, okay, that's cool." And he went to the bathroom, and he came back, and when he sat down, his color changed. Like, his face was all pale.
Okay.
And he looked ill, and I said, "Brian," I said, "Are you okay?" And he didn't say nothing. I said, "Brian, are you all right?" Well, he shook his head no lightly, and he said, I got to get out of here, man. And he got up and left. And I didn't see him for about 2.5 months later, and I asked him, I said, "Hey, Brian, why'd you leave so soon? What made you leave?" And because it baffled me, because we've been best friends for years, since 2015.
Yeah.
And he said he didn't know how to tell me. And I said, "What do you mean tell me?" He said, "Well, I just don't know how to tell you." I said, "Well, just try. I mean, we've been friends for years. You can tell me anything." So he said when he got up to go to the bathroom, which is near my bedroom, I had a 2-bedroom apartment, so it was near the main bedroom. He said when he came out of the bedroom, he kind of looked to his left, and by the foot of my bed, he saw about 5'10". He saw head, arms, shoulders. He saw a silhouette of a human standing there, but there was no facial features. There's no features at all.
Oh wow.
It was a white silhouette of a human standing there. He saw head, shoulders, arms, legs. And it disappeared as quick as he looked at it, and he said I knew I saw it, but it just disappeared as soon as I did. And then that's when I told him my experience. And at the time, I had a girlfriend that lived a quarter of the mile down the road in another apartment, and I never told her about my experience or my friend's experience. And we eventually got married, and she decided to move in with me because my area was a lot cleaner and better than hers apartment-wise.
Okay.
And so I never told her my experience with my friends. So I had some running around to do it on a Friday. And I said, "Did you want me to lock the door?" Because she was getting ready to take a shower.
Uh-huh.
And she said, yes. And so when I left, I got about 3 miles down the road and received a panic phone call from her. And she said she had she had the she had the bathroom door open, and the shower was frosted glass, so you could see somebody, but you couldn't tell a lot because it was frosted. She saw somebody that she described as 5'10", white T-shirt, blue jeans, and dark hair walk into our room and disappear. Now I was wearing a red Canadian Maple Leafs jersey
Okay.
and blue jean shorts. So she knew it wasn't me. And she hollered out thinking it was me and didn't get a response. So she cut her shower short, got out, went to the bedroom where she thought originally I was at, and I wasn't in there. And the bedroom, the closet was empty. She looked under her bed, looked out the window. My car was gone. She went to the front door. The door was locked.
Uh-huh.
And then there was
That was interesting.
yeah, that was, and there was nobody there. So she panicked because she saw somebody physically and then couldn't and wasn't wearing what I was wearing. And then that's when I turned the car around and went home and told her my experience and my friend Brian's experience. And but before she moved in, and she witnessed this, I actually took a shower myself, and I heard glass breaking in billions of pieces. And it was 3-pane glass, so it's like when you put a puzzle together and you frame it and you see the puzzle together, but you saw all the pieces of the puzzle. That's how my sliding glass door was. And when I took a shower, and this was a couple months before she moved in, I heard what sounded like it's ice breaking when you walk on fresh ice and you hear the glass breaking and you hear the shattering of glass. Well, I heard it in the shower. It was so loud that I got out of the shower and I went towards where I thought I heard it. And on the living room on the right-hand side sliding glass door was shattered glass.
Okay.
And it was shattered in billions of pieces. And I called the maintenance guy, whose name was Tom Whitaker at the time, and he asked what happened, and I told him, and they looked. There was no BB marks, no pry marks, no pellet marks,
Oh,
no.
wow.
And I lived on the 3rd floor, and that was the highest floor you could ever be on the apartment.
Uh-huh.
And so they called Him's Glass Shop Company, which was a glass shop in our town. And he came out, and they took the glass off. They asked me how it happened. I said I was in the shower and just heard this shattering glass sound, and I don't know how to explain it. And there was, and I worked 3rd shift, so everyone would be at work and school, so it was very little people in the parking lot or at the apartment at that time. And so when I said, what would have caused this? He said, I don't know. We have to take it back to shop and look at it. And when he came back, I asked him what caused this. He said he wasn't sure what caused it, and of his 25 years in business dealing with glass,
Oh, wow.
he's never seen glass do this before, nor
That's
did he have
crazy.
any explanation as to it for that. And then at one time, when I walked through the middle of the kitchen by the microwave, and I walked through, when you walk through a beer cooler at a gas station, it's the best way I call it. Right, the apartment was warm. I had the heat on, and right there in that one area it was static. It was static electricity, like you rubbed your head on a balloon and you put it on your skin. You could feel the hair pulling.
Uh-huh.
It was a little bit of that, and then I felt a crackling in my mouth, like electricity crackling.
Yeah.
And I had fillings in my mouth, so I don't know if that had something to do with the crackling of the static electricity.
Yeah.
But I noticed my hair was standing up on my arms, and it felt like an electricity pull.
Oh, wow.
And there was a beer cooler cold associated with it all at once, and then it dissipated all within 20 seconds of walking into it. And so when I told my story in Indianapolis, through a company that does paranormal investigations in Indianapolis, he was and I didn't know at the time, he was a retired police detective turned paranormal investigator. And there's an adjacent table away from me, and they were listening to the story too.
Uh-huh.
And after I told my story, he said, I have to tell you, I believe you, I believe your story. And during the whole time you were telling me this, I didn't tell you this, but do you see this table over there? And I said, yeah. He said, well, the whole time they were with me. And I'm a retired police detective, and he said, and under the whole time I had you under surveillance for voice and facial recognition, light detection software, and you passed with flying colors.
Oh, wow.
And he said he never seen somebody pass with flying colors like that. He said it's like you remember it like it happened yesterday.
Yeah.
And I told him, every day I wake up, it's an incident I don't think of. I mean, it really did happen, and it's something I don't make up. I don't know what it was or why it chose me, but there was something, to see something solid and then just disappear into to nothing.
Right.
How does something with energy appear and then disappear and have no reason scientifically for any of it?
Right.
And I held it to myself for years before I even told a story. I remember like it was yesterday. I wake up every day and not think about this story. And that's what got me into believing the supernatural, that there's something beyond our own life. I don't know what it is, but after that, I believe there is something. And then, and then I love horror films as well, because it kind of got me into more of it after that,
Gotcha.
as well as growing up with it too.
Gotcha. Well, here you heard it first. It's a Too Fresh exclusive here at Horror Hound. Thank you all. Thank you so much for telling your story. That was just, man, I don't know if I can sleep at night. You know, I'm kind of like, might have to sleep with one eye open after hearing that story, man. But Duane, I do want to thank you for coming on the podcast, sharing that story. I'm sure our viewers are gonna feel the same way I feel, scared.
I definitely appreciate you having me, and I
No
will say
problem.
100%. It's a true story. It's something I I never believe in the paranormal until after an incident actually happened to me, and after I seen what I seen, it made me a 100% believer. So the ones that don't believe, I honestly say just keep an open mind, because I was once in your shoes. I was once like you.
Yeah.
So, but again, thank you guys for having me, and I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks, Duane. We appreciate you, man.
I appreciate it, man.
No problem.